Hello, everyone, and welcome to Should You Bother for Thor Love and Thunder. I just got back from my opening night showing, and this movie was both surprising and amazing at the same time. I'm going to do something a little different for this review. I'm going to jump into the score right away, and I'm going to give this movie an A, and a high A. I thought about S, but it didn't quite make it there, but it was close. And to answer the question, should you bother? Definitely. This is a movie theater movie for sure, and if you're a Marvel fan, as soon as you can. There's a lot of stuff that happens that you don't want to have spoiled for you. This will be a spoiler-free review, but this is the first Marvel movie in a while where I couldn't kind of predict where it was going. I thought for sure there were some choices they were going to make with this movie, and they surprised me, which is something that Marvel struggles with sometimes. Like the big Avengers movies, Winter Soldier was the big one for me. There's surprises there and things catch you off guard, but plot wise, you can kind of see where it's going all the time. And this movie changed directions on me multiple times, and I was very, very impressed with it. And what I mean more by that is not necessarily that it was brand new or groundbreaking or completely different than anything I've ever expected. It's just they didn't make the easy choices. They did a lot of things where I'm like, they're definitely gonna do this. This is the stereotypical like easy route to go, and they just didn't do it. There's a lot of times that happen where I'm like, oh, this will happen, and this will be the easy explanation for this. Then they just don't take the easy explanation, which I really appreciate in movies, especially when a lot of movies take that way out. I think the natural comparison for this movie will be Thor Ragnarok, obviously. It's kind of the reinvention of Thor. And while Thor is still that Ragnarok Thor, having Jane back as the mighty Thor really kind of brings all three of the Thor movies together in this one. And it's really, really nice to have those two movies not be completely ignored because they're not popular. This is kind of like a combination of Thor's story. Now, comparing it directly to Ragnarok, I think people will be pretty 50-50 on this. Personally, I think I might like it better than Ragnarok, maybe, but it's really tough. We'll have to watch them both again to figure that out, but I think it's going to be 50-50. Some people will put this as the best Thor movie, some people will put it as second best behind Ragnarok. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. They are similar but different, and I think they do what they mean to do very well. While this is a Thor movie, I think this was equally about Jane and Gore. I think this movie might be one of the funniest Marvel movies we've ever had, but it's weird to say that with Gore being one of the most, like, truly evil and creepy villains we've had. It's a lot of both. There's a lot of creepy and there's a lot of funny, and it works somehow. The pacing can be kinda weird sometimes, but it always kinda works itself out in the end, and it really wasn't a big distraction. If I had to nitpick a couple of things, is I think Valkyrie was a little bit underutilized. I think she has great moments in this movie, but there's some times where they kind of put her on the sideline and you kind of want to see more of Valkyrie. They finally get into some of her backstory more, but then kind of push her to the side. So that I wish I would have seen a little more. Also, Gore the God Butcher, while he was very good, Christian Bale killed it in this movie. He was really creepy and believable, but you don't see a lot of actual God butchering. Like they tell you about it and they're like, he's this bad guy, but they don't show a lot of it. So I guess that would be one thing I would change if I were to take control of the movie. But honestly though, it still worked. It didn't feel like, it didn't take me out of the moment. I was entertained, I was locked in on the story. It's just I wish we would've saw more action with Gore. Another great strength of this movie was Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth. Sometimes in the first 2 Thor movies, you could kinda feel this weird awkwardness, like it didn't quite work, but there's I still like that relationship. This time, the awkwardness is all gone. Like, the chemistry there is near perfect. That it feels natural, it doesn't feel like they're trying, and it really, really shows through in this. The Guardians were not in here a whole lot, so I'd like to taper expectations there. They're in there for enough, but it's definitely a Thor movie and about Thor, Korg, Valkyrie, Jane. This is definitely a core Thor movie. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of Guardians, but this will have a big effect, I think, on the MCU going forward. While yes, this is gonna have a big impact on the MCU going forward, obviously connected, he's obviously like working towards bigger things, but they finally let Thor have his Thor story. Like he always has these moments of clarity, like he's become a worthy, he's becoming king, he gives up being a leader, he's gonna be who he wants to be, but he never really finds himself. And this is finally the movie where they give him his chance to do this. You don't see a lot of random cameos or things shoved in from the extended universe. It's all about Asgard. It's about Thor's circle. And I really, really appreciate that because Thor has gone through a lot. He's lost everybody. He's lost a planet. I mean, everything that you could think of, Thor loses it. And they kind of don't take a whole lot of time to acknowledge that. In this movie, he's finally able to acknowledge that and just be Thor. and they finally get there. It's not a moment of clarity, it's not something he thinks he wants, they finally let him get there. As this review comes to a close, I just wanna say this is a Thor movie I really hope for. I really love the way they take this movie, and I think a lot of people will be excited by it, and the acting is really, really good. It's not just one person that carries the movie, all 4 of the main characters, in my opinion, are just done damn near perfectly. It was, like, great from Christian Bale, from Chris Hemsworth, from Natalie Portman, from Tessa Thompson. All 4 of them just were on their game today, and I'm just very impressed by it. But let me know what you thought of Thor: Love and Thunder in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching my review of Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm gonna be starting the rest of the MCU soon, starting with Iron Man 1 and working through release order, so I'd be thrilled if you join me for those.